Imagine a believer standing in the middle of chaos, trials pulling them from every direction, fear whispering doubts into their heart. Yet their face is calm and their soul is steady.
Why?
Because the messenger of Allah taught us that the strongest believer is the one who hands their fears to Allah, knowing that no pain arrives without purpose and no difficulty lasts without benefit. This is the anchor that transforms storms into stepping stones. My brothers and sisters, every one of us has faced a moment where our chest felt tight. Our thoughts raced uncontrollably and anxiety clouded every corner of our heart. It happens suddenly, sometimes due to loss, sometimes fear, sometimes uncertainty, and sometimes for no clear reason at all. And in that moment you ask yourself, how do I calm this storm? Where do I place these heavy emotions? The truth is, panic is a natural reaction of the body, but peace is a trained response of the soul. Life will never be free of trials. You and I will be tested with situations that shake our confidence, disturb our plans, and challenge our patience. Yet the beauty of our faith is that it gives us tools not only to survive those moments, but to grow through them. The first step toward moving from panic to peace is understanding that adversity has an owner. Your hardship did not appear randomly. It did not slip into your life unnoticed. It was placed with precision by the one whose knowledge has no boundaries, whose mercy has no limit, and whose wisdom never fails. When you truly absorb this, your mindset shifts. You stop asking, why me? And you begin asking, what can I learn from this? This shift alone brings enormous peace. Because when you recognize that your situation is part of a divine plan, you stop fighting the moment and start navigating through it. You stop drowning in fear and begin swimming with purpose. The second step is emotional anchoring. When hardship strikes, your emotions search for a place to land. They can land on fear, which makes the storm feel bigger, or they can land on faith, which makes you stronger. The Prophet taught us that calmness comes from aligning the heart with divine wisdom, reminding yourself that the one who protected you yesterday has not abandoned you today. The one who carried you through your darkest nights will not leave you alone in this one. My brothers and sisters, adversity is not always a punishment. Sometimes it is a purification, sometimes it is elevation, sometimes it is protection from a bigger harm. Sometimes it is simply to reconnect your heart with the one you drifted from. The lessons are endless, but the wisdom is always there. The third step in your journey from panic to peace is to slow down, breathe. Instead of reacting impulsively, returning to harmful behaviors, or making decisions in emotional turbulence, the believer is taught to pause. Calmness is a form of worship. Patience in the first moment of hardship is the real test, and that patience becomes easier when you remind yourself that no storm lasts forever. Every difficulty has an expiry date. Every tear has a purpose. When you internalize this, your panic begins to weaken. Because fear thrives on uncertainty, but faith thrives on surrender. Fear says, what if everything goes wrong? Faith says, even if everything goes wrong, Allah never does. My dear brothers and sisters, peace is not found by escaping hardship. Peace is found by connecting your heart to the one who controls hardship. ORMSPLINTED, a neutral, it is the presence of an anchor, and that anchor is your trust in Allah. So when adversity strikes, step back and remind yourself, you are not walking alone, your tears are not unseen. Your pain is not ignored, your situation is not forgotten. You are held by a Lord who knows the weight of every burden you carry and the silent prayers you whisper. Your journey from panic to peace begins the moment you hand over your fears to Allah and say, you know what I do not know, you see what I cannot see, and I trust your plan over my own. True peace comes when the heart recognizes that every hardship is designed, measured, and monitored by the one who knows you better than you know yourself. Many people think peace is something you find when life is smooth, when everything is under control, when every plan goes exactly as expected. But the reality is very different. Peace is not discovered in comfort, it is discovered in clarity. It is found when a person allows their heart to understand who is truly in control of their life, their circumstances, their emotions, and their future. You may not always understand why certain situations unfold the way they do, nor why certain difficulties meet you at particular moments of your life, but the one who created you has never lost sight of you for even a second. Your journey is not random, your hardships are not accidental, and your struggles are never meaningless. When a believer truly grasps this reality, the heart begins to breathe in a different way. Suddenly, panic no longer feels like the only reaction. Instead of seeing hardship as an attack, you begin seeing it as a lesson. Instead of interpreting difficulty as abandonment, you begin viewing it as attention from your Creator. Life becomes calmer when you understand that the same Lord who shaped your past, carried you through every unseen challenge, and blessed you with moments you did not even pray for, is the one designing the hardships you face today. This realization alone transforms the way you handle pain. Instead of being swallowed by fear, you are steadied by faith. People often panic because they believe they have been left alone to deal with their problems. They imagine that life has thrown them into a dark room with no key, no light, and no escape. But that is not the case. Every test has been measured for you, not against you. It has been tailored with divine precision, taking into account your strengths, your weaknesses, your capacity, your future, and even the state of your heart at this very moment. The Creator does not burden the soul to break it, He burdens it to build it. He gives you what will purify you, elevate you, and ultimately strengthen you in ways you would not have discovered without adversity. When you realize that the Creator knows you more deeply than you know yourself, your heart relaxes. You may not know your limit, but He does. You may not know which path will lead you to long-term goodness, but He does. You may think a certain relationship, opportunity, or dream is essential for your happiness, while the All-Wise knows it may lead to harm. You may be holding on tightly to something that was never written for you, and the moment it is taken away, panic fills your heart. But if you could see the full picture, the dangers you are being protected from, the blessings being delayed for the right moment, the growth being shaped within you, you would fall into prostration. Out of gratitude, not fear. Hardship becomes easier when you trust the one who sent it. It is the same as being guided through a dark tunnel. If you walk alone, every step is frightening. But if someone who sees perfectly in the dark holds your hand, you walk without fear. Your situation has not changed. The darkness remains, the uncertainty remains, the tunnel remains, but your heart is at peace because you know who is guiding you. That is what happens when you understand divine measurement. Your surroundings may look chaotic, but your soul feels calm because it knows that your Lord sees what you cannot see. Every difficulty is accompanied by hidden mercy, even if that mercy is not visible at the start. Sometimes the mercy is revealed through patience, sometimes through lessons, sometimes through growth, sometimes through redirection, and sometimes through replacement. But it always arrives. Nothing you go through is wasted. Even the tears you shed in the middle of the night are recorded, valued, and used to elevate you in ways you do not realize. The moments you are bent over by pain are the same moments that polish your heart and cleanse your soul. This is why the people who emerge strongest from adversity are those who understand that their hardship was not designed to destroy them, but to teach them. The one who created your heart understands exactly what it needs. Some hearts soften through blessings, while others soften through challenges. Some hearts awaken through ease, while others awaken through struggle. And sometimes the very thing you are afraid of is the thing that will bring you closer to your Creator than anything else ever could. If you rely only on ease to give you peace, your peace will always be temporary. But if you rely on your Creator to give you peace, then even in the midst of difficulty, your heart will remain steady. True peace does not come from having a perfect life. It comes from trusting a perfect Lord. It comes from knowing that every hardship is tailored with purpose. Every delay has wisdom behind it. Every test has been measured with compassion, and every challenge carries within it a hidden gift. When you embrace this understanding, fear becomes lighter, anxiety becomes manageable, and panic slowly transforms into patience. You realize that you are not simply going through a difficulty, you are being guided through it. Adversity becomes manageable when a believer anchors their emotions to divine wisdom instead of temporary fear. Human emotions are powerful, and when faced with sudden hardship or unexpected challenges, the heart often reacts before the mind does. Fear hits quickly, confusion spreads fast, thoughts become scattered, and before you can process what is happening, you feel overwhelmed. This is why many people feel suffocated during tests, not necessarily because the test is too heavy, but because their emotions have no anchor. They drift wherever panic pushes them, and panic never leads to clarity. What changes everything is when the believer learns to anchor their emotions to something stable, unchanging, and rooted in truth, the wisdom of Allah. Temporary fear is based on what you see, what you assume, and what your mind imagines. Divine wisdom is based on what Allah knows, what He plans, and what He protects you from. When you react from fear, everything feels magnified. Small problems look huge. Minor inconveniences feel catastrophic. A delay feels like destruction. A closed door feels like rejection. You begin predicting the worst and believing it. But when you pause, breathe, and remind yourself that every moment unfolding around you is happening under the supervision of the one whose knowledge has no limit, suddenly your emotional reaction shifts. You realize you do not need to panic, because the situation you fear is already known, already measured, already written with purpose long before you arrived in it. A believer's strength does not lie in avoiding hardship. It lies in how they frame hardship. When you frame adversity as random, you become a victim. When you frame adversity as purposeful, you become guided. Fear often comes from misunderstanding. You assume hardship means punishment or abandonment or loss, when in reality it can be protection, purification, elevation, or preparation for something far greater. When you anchor your emotions to divine wisdom, you stop reacting impulsively and start responding intelligently. And this is one of the most powerful qualities a believer can develop, the ability to step back and ask, what does Allah want me to learn from this moment? Rather than asking, why is this happening to me? That single shift in perspective transforms your response entirely. Instead of sinking deeper into worry, the believer starts rising into understanding. Instead of drowning in confusion, the believer swims toward purpose. The storm does not necessarily stop, but you learn how to navigate through it without losing yourself. Think of someone caught in strong ocean waves. If they panic and fight the water, they become exhausted and risk drowning. But if they understand how waves work, they learn to move with them, not against them. They remain calm. They conserve energy, they stay afloat. Similarly, when you fight your adversity from a place of panic, your emotions exhaust you. You lose clarity, you lose control, but when you anchor your emotions to faith, you gain direction. You slow down, you think clearly, you act consciously, not impulsively. Temporary fear is unstable. It comes and goes with every phone call, every message, every worry, and every piece of news you hear. It depends on the situation, but divine wisdom is constant. It does not change simply because your circumstances changed. It remains firm regardless of how unpredictable life becomes. When your emotions lean on something unstable, your heart becomes unstable. But when your emotions lean on something unshakable, your heart stabilizes. People often look calm not because their life is easy, but because their heart is anchored. They trust the one who allows every difficulty to unfold with perfect precision. They know that Allah never introduces pain into a believer's life without purpose. Even when the purpose is not visible, the believer trusts that it exists. This trust becomes a shield. It protects them from drowning in negative thoughts. It protects them from the whispers that make the heart fearful and hopeless. It protects them from blaming themselves or others unfairly. It protects them from making rushed decisions that could cause more harm. When your emotions are anchored to divine wisdom, you stop measuring life by what you temporarily lost, and you start measuring it by what Allah may be giving you in return. Perhaps a hardship is pushing you away from someone harmful. Perhaps a delay is protecting you from a mistake. Perhaps a struggle is strengthening qualities inside you that success never could. Perhaps a disappointment is redirecting you towards something better. You begin recognizing that wisdom is hidden everywhere, even in the places you once feared the most. Fear weakens you, but understanding strengthens you. Fear makes you reactive, but wisdom makes you reflective. Fear makes you close your heart, but wisdom opens your heart to growth. And the beauty of anchoring your emotions to faith is that even when the hardship continues, you learn to carry it with dignity instead of distress. You learn to walk with calmness instead of chaos. You learn to breathe with hope instead of heaviness. Every believer must choose where their heart will anchor. Some anchor their emotions to people, and when those people fail, they collapse. Some anchor their emotions to wealth, and when money disappears, they crumble. Some anchor their emotions to their plans, and when plans break, they break too. But the one who anchors their emotions to Allah remains steady even when everything else shakes, because what is held by the Creator cannot be broken by creation. When adversity arrives in your life, look inward before you look outward. Calm your heart before you fix your situation. Anchor your emotions to purpose, not panic. Seek wisdom, not fear, and remind yourself that as long as Allah is managing your affairs, no hardship can overpower you. It may challenge you, shape you, and transform you, but it will never destroy you because your anchor is stronger than your storm. Moving from panic to peace is a spiritual journey that begins with trust, continues with patience, and becomes complete through sincere connection with Allah. Many people think peace is something that descends instantly, like a switch turning off anxiety and turning on calmness. But true peace does not happen in a single moment. It unfolds in stages, each one nurturing the heart and shaping the believer's inner strength. Panic may strike suddenly, but peace is cultivated slowly, through deliberate choices, repeated reminders, and a conscious return to the Creator. It is a process that teaches you about yourself, your emotions, your weaknesses, and your reliance on the one who controls everything around you. The journey begins with trust. Trust is the foundation of peace. Without trust in Allah, the heart has nowhere to land. It keeps wandering from fear to fear, imagining the worst, expecting harm, and feeling abandoned by life. Trust does not mean understanding everything that happens. It means accepting that the one who allows it to happen has wisdom behind it. Trust means believing that your life is not a random collection of events, but a carefully written story authored by the most merciful. When a person trusts Allah, their heart softens even in the middle of chaos. They understand that every step forward, every obstacle, every delay, and every loss is placed with purpose. This trust quiets the noise inside the heart, because the believer knows they are not walking alone, even when circumstances feel lonely. But trust alone is not enough. After trusting Allah's plan, the believer must practice patience. Patience is not simply waiting for difficulties to end. It is the ability to remain steady while they continue. It is the strength to hold on when giving up feels easier. It is the maturity to stay composed even when emotions try to pull you in different directions. Patience is not passive, it is deeply active. It requires discipline, self-control, and constant awareness of Allah's presence. Life teaches us again and again that ease does not always come quickly. Sometimes difficulties stretch longer than expected, opportunities delay longer than hoped for, and healing takes more time than the heart desires. In those moments, patience becomes a believer's shield. It prevents panic from returning. It protects the heart from despair. It keeps the soul moving one step at a time, even when the road feels heavy. Patience also teaches the believer to look beyond the surface of their hardship. What seems like a pause might be preparation. What feels like a setback might be protection. What appears as a loss might actually be the opening of a new chapter. Understanding this makes patience easier. It reminds the believer that the timing of Allah is not based on their emotions, but based on perfect knowledge and infinite wisdom. Every delay has a reason, every closed door has a purpose, every unanswered prayer has a direction that the believer cannot see yet. When a person internalizes this, patience becomes more than an obligation, it becomes a comfort. As the believer continues on this journey, peace deepens when they strengthen their connection with Allah. The heart cannot remain calm without nourishment, and the soul cannot remain steady without its source. Connection with Allah turns fear into faith, confusion into clarity, and loneliness into companionship. It is not only through formal worship, but through sincere moments when you lift your hands and speak to Allah with honesty, admitting your fears, your weaknesses, your hopes, and your needs. There is something profoundly healing about knowing that the one you speak to hears you, understands you, and responds to you in ways you may not yet notice. This connection forms a protective circle around the heart. When you are connected with Allah, the world can shake, but your soul stays firm. You may face adversity, but you no longer face it alone. You begin to interpret events differently. Instead of assuming that hardship means abandonment, you understand that hardship may be a sign of attention from your Lord. Instead of seeing pain as punishment, you start seeing it as purification or preparation. This spiritual awareness changes how you experience life. It reduces panic and increases peace because you no longer judge events by their appearances, you judge them by the one who allowed them to happen. People who possess this connection carry a kind of calmness that cannot be explained through logic. Their peace does not come from having an easy life, it comes from having a strong heart. They may have fewer resources, fewer answers, or fewer solutions, but their faith gives them more stability than those who have the entire world but lack spiritual grounding. This is why sincere connection with Allah is not optional. It is essential. It is the source of inner light that allows the believer to walk through darkness without losing direction. The journey from panic to peace transforms a person. It teaches them humility because they realize they cannot control everything. It teaches them strength because they discover the beauty of relying on Allah alone. It teaches them wisdom because they begin to see the world through a spiritual lens rather than a purely emotional one. It teaches them gratitude because they learn to appreciate even the smallest mercies that ease their heart. And ultimately, it teaches them serenity because they know that whatever happens in their life is written with kindness, mercy, and precision. Panic may visit the heart, but it does not have to live there. Peace may feel distant, but it is never unreachable. The more you trust, the more you are patient, and the more sincerely you connect with Allah, the more your heart settles into a state that nothing in this world can disturb. You begin to walk with a quiet confidence, knowing that your affairs are in the hands of the one who never makes mistakes. And that confidence becomes the anchor that guides you through every storm, turning your hardships into lessons, your fears into faith, and your worries into a profound sense of peace that only Allah can provide.